All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. I don't know what episode this is because we're just doing so many out here in Anaheim. I'm with Jason Pantana. Jason, thank you so much.
I'm glad to be here, man. Good to see you.
I'm happy to see you here. So we're at the Tom Ferry Summit in Anaheim. It's about to kick off Tom X Day. You're a coach and a speaker for Tom Ferry.
Yep.
You do the marketing edge, but before we get into that, just give us a little bit about your background and we'll lead into Tom Ferry.
Yeah, sure. So, one, thanks for having me. Pumped to be on the podcast. Background. So, I've been in real estate for a good number of years, sold as an agent. I've worked in a corporate level. I used to work for Coldwell Banker Brand. I worked out of the Realogy building. I was their director of learning engagement and would put on conferences, speak at events, things of that effect. And then from there transitioned into what I'm doing now, which is working with Tom as a business coach and a speaker. And I do, like you said, lead the Marketing Edge Conference. It's a traveling roadshow. We talk about agent marketing. So we dig into the mechanics, the philosophy, what works, what doesn't work, online, offline, all that good stuff. But what I care about most is just helping agents really establish their businesses. How do they generate a pipeline of leads, of customers, of referrals, so that they can keep doing what they do best, which is serving customers.
In the trenches as an agent, and then was it when you kind of grew into all these different roles, was it because you were really fond of marketing? Is because that's what you were great at? Like, how did that evolution happen?
True. I mean, really, I didn't plan any of it. There's a long story to it. I'll give you the abbreviated one.
Sure.
I was an agent at an office. I ended up subbing in real quick to teach a class on Macs. I have a degree in marketing and I know tech.
They were like, you look young, you know about Macs.
Exactly. And then I was teaching, and a mentor of mine who I didn't know him at the time, he's become a mentor since, happened to be in the session. He heard me teaching. He himself had a national platform as a speaker, and he started referring me opportunities. I mean, he gave me chances. And
How long have you been speaking for?
I've been speaking like 6 or 7 years now.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, that makes sense, because if you go to the Marketing Edge, I've heard you speak before. Like, you're really good.
Oh,
you're really good up there.
You're kind.
I think you're really good.
You're kind.
So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
Just off of like.
Well, and
chance.
then it just kept growing, and then I ended up getting an opportunity to partner with the National Association of Realtors. They had this initiative called Rethink the Future of Real Estate, and they let me go out and do those events.
Wow.
And they trained me, and that led to a booking agent and speaking, and then I went to Coldwell Banker, and then I'm with Tom. So it's been just a rush of opportunity.
I'm actually bummed that, because we're gonna have to like do a shorter version. I wish we could have done like an hour, because I would love to go like half hour on NAR. You probably can't go there, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even affiliated at this point, right?
No, I am. I'm still licensed.
Okay.
I'm not actively selling, but I maintain my affiliation.
Just quickly, we'll jump around all over the place because you brought up NAR. Do you think NAR can solely define what they do?
In what sense?
Like, if you were to say NAR, what are you? Are you a tech company? Are you a lobbyist? Are you protecting the consumer? Are you protecting the agent? Like, what are you? Like, if I were to say to Tom Ferry, what are you? We're helping make the best agents in America, right? Like, we're helping put more money in the best agents in America's pockets, basically, right?
Right.
Coaching and training. And what is NAR?
That's a loaded question.
It's so
Byron.
loaded, and I didn't
extremely
prepare
loaded
you for that one. So it's like, but you brought it up, and I just.
Listen, I've been involved in groups and committees, and we've dissected that very question in terms of who is the customer of the National Association of Realtors. And at the end of the day, here's my honest opinion. There are a lot of people who work at NAR that care deeply about agents. I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors.
As am I.
They do a bang-up job as far as I'm concerned in terms of protecting the rights of housing, and so from a lobbyist standpoint, I see a lot of tremendous benefit there.
I do as well.
So I would say, I mean, how do I define very specifically and succinctly what do they do? I think they are there to protect housing, and they serve their members, and ultimately we're agents. So
I agree, and that would be the one tunnel I'd want them to stay in, but like spending all the money on our PR and all this kind of stuff, like, when is it really helping agents, or is it really breaking through, is super questionable and debatable.
I mean, I could return the question and say, are they to do nothing in terms of trying to equip agents to be as effective as they can be?
Yeah. No, I get it. We're not going to spend a lot of time on NAR because we've got the marketing guy here, and I want to really dig deep on that. What is the number one thing, because you talk to a lot of agents, you coach a lot of agents, you speak to thousands of agents every single year. What's the number one thing agents are missing right now in their marketing strategy?
I'll try
if you
to
had
give you
just pin it down. Like everyone's like Jason or whoever, like, should I be on Instagram? Should I be this? Like those are theoretical, but like, what is the one thing we're missing?
All right, I'll tell you what I've been thinking about a lot. I think this is going to be. I'm not trying to be mean, but I think a lot of agents' websites suck.
Okay.
Now they've got great providers. There's a lot of companies out there that make really great websites for agents.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't be great. It's that they kind of turnkey the solution to the provider to say, hey, give me a great website. And then it's got really beautiful landing pages. The IDX is clean and easy. They can even hand over the PPC Google advertising and all that kind of stuff. But then I feel like agents oftentimes use that as permission to step away and say, I don't have to invest time and energy and resources in terms of blogs, videos, content. I can just let my website be this static place.
Is it because you think they're relying on PPC driving to the website and they're just like, okay, I'm making money off that. I can see the return. I'm getting 3 to 1, whatever it is. And they're not building, like basically what you're saying is they're not building brand on top?
I think that's a contributing factor. I mean, at the end of the day, I get it. Being an agent, the product you sell is agency.
Yeah.
And so that means you're spending most of your time delivering that service to your customers. And so the notion of, well, how do I do my marketing? Where do I find the time to do that? What's the most impactful for me? You start running out of time, and so you outsource or you insource or whatever it is. And there are other factors that I think are missing in agents. I think they lack in, and I'm not trying to be mean, but oftentimes lack in consistency due to the reason that they're busy. They're trying to provide a great experience for customers. But when I look at a lot of agents' websites, it's just, I've been doing an audit, and this is in my mind right now, so maybe I'm focused on it, but a lot of times they'll turn off the blog feature. I've seen that a lot of times, where they're not, like what you're doing right now, you're creating tons of content.
Yeah.
It could be podcasts, videos, blogs, whatever, but you're giving information because at the end of the day, why do people go on Google? They're looking for information.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what, you could be a floral shop, you could be an agent, you could be whatever, but at the end of the day, people are online, and the reason they're going to be attracted to you is to get information. It's easy to say, well, all they want to do is search for houses online. It's easy to fall into that belief system, but I'm like, is that all they really want to do? I mean, when we look at the data that Zillow produces, National Association of Realtors produces, most of it tells us like the number one factor in terms of why somebody hires an agent is trusted local expertise, right? And so that goes way beyond just searching for houses and setting up and pushing a heart button to favorite them.
So to your point, and your observation is dead on. Like us as agents are extremely busy, and we get caught up in that. We get caught up in that agent roller coaster that Tom talks about, that you talk like all the time, right? So if you're in the and you know it, right? Like if it truly is the situation, this person is super busy,
right?
But they know that building a brand and marketing is super important, but they don't, like, I'm fortunate, like Sam's back here doing video, like Jill, who's our marketing coordinator.
Well, you've made it a priority.
Here. It is a priority. But if somebody comes to you, maybe one of your coaching clients, whoever, says, well, I just don't have the money to invest. I can't hire an employee, and I literally don't have the time. I'm my own admin.
Right.
What's the solution? Is it get an admin first and then leave marketing to the side almost? Because I would disagree with that, because you need it to keep going. Like, what piece of advice where do you start?
Yeah. So I had this conversation with one of the coaches, just, lobby talk yesterday. And I often, because I lead Marketing Edge, and so I'm not trying to stereotype, but I get folks who will come to me and say, hey, what should I be doing marketing wise to get business? And if you really get behind what they're looking to achieve, it's oftentimes an easy button where, what's the thing I can do that will make it so that I never have to pick up my phone again, I never have to call, I never have to put in the sweat equity in terms of all the activities we know work to stay in touch, build relationships. And so the way I sniff that out is I'll typically say, first thing you got to do is go live on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
Because there is something, it doesn't cost anything, but what it will do is reveal to somebody if they're really willing to do that. Because it's uncomfortable for a lot of folks to go live on Facebook. Are you really willing to put in what it takes to do the video? Am I making sense?
Yeah, so you're thinking, like, if you're not willing to take that one step, then not that you're like, well, I'm just going to quit on you and not offer you advice, but like, you're not going to follow through on anything I tell you. Like, I give you the whole entire rule, but like, if you're not willing to do that one thing,
I mean, look at you.
Are you willing to follow through?
I mean, you say you've got Sam and people who can support you, but how did those things come into being?
Yeah, 100%. If you went on like YouTube and really did some digging, that profile is actually gone. But if you really did some digging on some old school stuff, Sam, you should see some of the stuff I was editing on, I don't even know what the computer was. It wasn't a Mac. It was terrible. It was awful.
But why did you do it?
'Cause I just knew I knew being consistent. My whole thing, we've talked about this, I think,
Yeah.
at dinners or something, but like being consistent every single week, having content to put out there, like even in the beginning, if it's not that good, like if you're like literally just talking about like, I don't know, the community, like the house features, like it could be boring content, but putting stuff out there every week, I knew would take me from like literally when I came in the business, no experience, 0 years in, and at least give me a shot with someone who's got 30 years on me.
Totally.
And you have to cut that gap somehow, which to me, but here's the thing, right? People are like, well, it's because you were young. Here's the thing.
All right.
When I jumped on Facebook, I didn't have like, I'm not a very popular guy. I wasn't like adding people. When I got into real estate, I was like, oh, I actually need to use Facebook.
I
need
have
to
relationships. People have to know me.
People have to know me. It was like, this is a necessity for me. I don't think it's a young thing, old thing. There's so many people that are seasoned agents that are getting it, that are doing it right, and they didn't grow up. Like, none of us actually grew up with it. Even like the young people didn't grow up with this. It's here now, so you have to learn how to use it.
Yeah, you have to learn how to use it, but I'd suspect that you're doing these videos, maybe they're at a low level.
Yes.
But you're cranking them out because you believed that if I could do this consistently, it's going to lead to the result I want. And I'm going to bet that over time, things started to sort of mushroom and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you hire Sam, you hire other people, you build around you. And my wife says this thing to me all the time when I get carried away with ideas. She has this saying, as the business necessitates. And I'm like, it's a good line, because what it means is, if I find myself on a path where things are either coming somewhat naturally or it's getting bigger, bigger, and bigger, I'm like, okay, let's go to the nth degree with this. I need this, this, and this. And she's like, wait a minute, go to the next level and then the next level and bring people on as the business necessitates. So like, let's zoom out for a second. The first thing I said in terms of what are most agents missing, and I'm generalizing, is they need websites with actual content. Yet here we have the issue of, well, I don't want to waste my time doing things that don't get me a great return. I'm busy, I sell houses, whatever the talk track is that keeps people out of doing that. But then you go to the starting point, and I would say like, we had a coach's reception, and I was looking for some examples of coaching clients that I could use in the Marketing Edge materials. And all these coaches are just nominating their clients to me of, so-and-so did this, 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 and this in terms of what they did. And you know what like 9 out of 10 things involved? Video. They just, and video, like we say video, but it's really a bigger term. It's content. Why do people use the internet? To get information. What is probably the best format for delivering that information?
Information, or it could literally just be like escapism.
Yeah.
Right? So like entertainment.
Yeah, so there's the personal, professional side of it.
Because I think if you're in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, Kyle Whistle, I think what he does is more entertainment.
Sure.
It's actually, I take that back. Kyle,
it's local.
Tell me coming after me now. It's actually informational too. You're right. It is. It's everything. But there's a definite, real fun factor to that.
Well, and that goes without saying. Like in this day and age, I've got I do one search, I've got 1 billion or so results. Edutainment is a term that I keep top of mind because learning something new, researching should be fun because others can make it fun. So if you have like a super stale website and it's boring, I'm gonna fall asleep clicking my mouse button or whatever it is. But you look at Kyle and what he's doing, he's got these East County Eats, and it's a great show, and it's keeping people informed, and it's positioning him as a local expert,
and it's a
super
production.
Engaged.
I mean, you think you'd watch the Food Network.
I interviewed Brian, his marketing guy, and we talked about what is the schedule they do. Yeah. And it's a total production. It really is. But yet again, here's another example of somebody who started doing something consistently, made it a priority, and it evolved over time. And so I go back to one of the common things is, Jason, give me a marketing solution so that I don't have to make my calls or do the hard work. And I'm like, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist ever, but there is a degree of scale where it's like, if I can go live I can think of a guy named Greg Farcelli. He's an agent in Nashville. Okay. He made it a commitment to go live on Facebook every day for like a year, which I'm not saying you have to go live every day by any means. I'm not, but
he went all in though.
He went all in, and his business has literally in 2 years in our coaching program, he's 10x'd. He really has. And there's been other things he's done. He's gotten his CRM organized. He's gotten his emails going out more effectively. But
does it all kind of like when you are, okay, I'm going to go all in on marketing, it kind of forces you to get the back end?
I think that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to go all in on And it doesn't have to be everything. Some people are like, I can't do video, postcards, email, I can't do all of it. I'm like, pick one thing. Like, what was the one thing you picked first?
Yeah, the one thing I picked first before any of the social stuff was expired letters.
Okay,
right?
so you started with the tried and true.
Literally, I went tried and true, expired letters, expired calls, those two things over and over and over again. And then for me, it was Facebook and YouTube and.
All right, so step one was work with what we know works.
Yeah.
Step two was start building a persona on main social platforms, having relationships. What was step three?
I mean, step three right now is literally trying to outproduce content, outproduce everybody on the content that's in real estate, right? So which is going to be an uphill battle, obviously. Right now, Instagram's a big deal. Obviously, we're looking at Instagram a lot. We're trying to post there as often as we can. Facebook, of course. If you've got, do you think if you have limited time, is Instagram and Facebook the place you should spend it? If you're trying to build a social brand and content as an agent?
That's a hard question to answer because you'll always hear somebody say Pinterest is where it's at, or
really.
I'm not saying that.
I understand.
But you'll hear that
that's the
for
thing.
them, or they say LinkedIn more commonly. I'll hear LinkedIn. People are crushing it there.
I do like LinkedIn.
But
right now.
I'll just be honest. Yeah, if I was forced into a corner, what are my top two picks? I would choose Facebook and Instagram. I would. For agents.
Now, if you're choosing Instagram, I feel like Instagram is almost like 3 platforms right now. It's like, okay, I'm posting on stories, I'm posting on IGTV, I'm posting in my timeline,
totally.
I'm getting into my DMs, right? Like, you can spend all your time there.
You could.
Right? So, okay, now when Instagram someday doesn't have everybody's attention, what would you tell an agent? Does it come back to really having a badass website so that you can control everything? Because if they put all their eggs in the Instagram basket, and then Instagram's just not as popular anymore, like Snapchat's not as popular, how do you counterbalance that?
I mean, I'm thinking of something I heard Gary Vee say, which he was talking about networks where they came out and he was like, this is going to be the big one, and he went all in, and then it tanked a year later or whatever. And then he said, he was like, you know what? Vine, for instance. He said, Vine taught me what I needed to know so that when Instagram was ready with stories and all that stuff, I was ahead of the curve.
Actually, you're so right about this because I spent way too much time when Meerkat first came out.
Yeah.
Sitting there for 4 hours a night with people, live meerkatting, and Meerkat was a weird place. Did you ever get involved in Meerkat?
I didn't do that one.
It was so weird. It was almost like you were chilling. It's a weird thing. But what I'll say is some of the relationships I created on Meerkat are still I'm still having those conversations with people on IG, on Facebook. They are now on my other platforms because I always believe this, on social media, if you're actually social, that's where you're going to spread the most.
At the end of the day, let's analyze somebody like Gary Vee. What's he committed to? He's committed to nonstop content. He's going to pump out content and ideas and thought leadership regardless of the platform. And when the platform shifts, and you're right, it will inevitably shift. It will. Yeah. So people are going to move on, and you move too.
I want to touch on this, and then I've got one more question I got to ask you. If you're producing, Gary Vee produces an obscene amount of content, he has over 15 people on his staff that just produce that Team Gary Vee content, right? Grant Cardone's another guy that comes to mind where he just he'll post 10 YouTube videos a day, even if they're short clips and repurposed, tons and tons of content. Is there any such thing as too much content?
What do you think I'm going to say?
I think you're going to agree with me and say no, but there are people well, if it's not that good, we were just talking to a guy in the music industry.
No, there's no such thing.
And he was like, well, I don't post a lot because I need it to be really good.
Yeah, that's a limiting belief, is my honest opinion.
Yeah.
And here's what I would say to you. I was having this conversation the other day. I was talking to an agent who's Tom Ferry says post once or twice a day, Facebook, Insta, whatever your chosen platforms are, but post every day. And this agent was like, what Tom's not considering is how busy I am. Right. I got to show properties, I got to do this, I got to do that, or whatever it is.
Content, which is another...
And here's the real big one. I hear this excuse a lot. Agents saying, I don't know what to post every day. I don't have enough going on where I could post that every day. And here's my challenge back to them. Do it for 30 days. Even if it sucks, even if you find yourself saying something that you said a week ago, post every day for 30 days. And there's a reason for that. Have you heard Tom or Tony Robbins or anybody talk about your reticular activating system before?
Yeah.
Yes. Right, so for maybe the people watching and listening.
Yeah, I'd love you to. Yeah.
Here's what it is. Let's say that I tell you, hey, after this, I'm going right out and I'm going to go buy a Tesla today. Maybe I've never considered buying a Tesla before. When I leave here, What am I going to notice all over the road?
You're going to see them everywhere. Every
gonna
time I
see
get a
them
new car,
everywhere,
I'm
right?
like, everyone bought the same car I have.
Well, why? Because it's become a part of my
mind.
focus, right?
Yep.
So your reticular activating system, as there's all this data around you of like, what am I supposed to pay attention to? This is the part of your brain that says, pay attention to what you're already focusing on because it must be important. That's its oversimplified version of what the
And it
reticular
makes
activating
sense.
system is. So here's where I'm going with it. Agents say, I don't know what to post on social media all the time. I say, if you can make it a habit where every day, even if it sucks, every day you train yourself to post regardless, then what you're going to be training your brain to do is see opportunities.
See opportunities out there.
I could post about this or stories about that or this or that.
And when you say that one line, I think kind of where you're going is when you say, I don't know what to post every day, that you're attracting that.
Well, you are to
Yeah.
your exactly.
Yeah.
You are. But the other thing is, like, if you go to the gym 5 days in a row and you skip the 6th, what are you thinking about that 6th day? I didn't go to the gym. Why? Well, because it's
course.
becoming more of a habit. It's part of your focus. And so, I mean, this can be hard or this can be simple. At the end of the day, what is marketing? The job of marketing is to generate trust and get the word out about what you're doing and how you can help people in your business. What are the best ways to do that? Well, do you have money? Do you not have money? Are you starting out? Are you super savvy and experienced? You have to have those kinds of conversations. I would say if you're at the level of Kai Whistle, like, he's where he needs to be in terms of producing
Right.
high quality, high production content, tons of it. There's no such thing as too much content. There is such a thing as improvement over time and better content, but you
Keep getting it better.
you don't get better unless you do it all the time.
I agree, 100%. We're gonna shift a little bit. I think it's in line with actually because I mean, marketing has evolved, right? And I just think the industry in general is evolving a lot. There is a lot of these disruptor companies, a lot of these VC-backed companies. You can look at Open Door, you can look at Trailora, you can look at Purple Bricks, you can look at all these companies, right? And I don't know, did you go to SF Inman?
I was there the very last day only.
You were the last
I spoke
day?
there the last day only.
So you
I
you
missed
probably
it.
missed the Gary
I
Keller
did.
thing.
I missed it.
Your 2 cents on, I mean, that was I watched it. It was very awkward. He wouldn't sit down. He was very much like the old man get off my front lawn type of thing, and kind of saying, hey, disruption is not coming. This is total ludicrousy, and these companies are going to run out of money, and maybe some of them are, and I think certainly some of them will, because that's just the market.
Sure.
What's your 2 cents on disruption and technology eating into the agent a little bit here in the future?
Well, panic, dread, fear are never going to produce great things from an agent. So I would say number one, if your mentality is, I'm going to be out of work tomorrow, someone's going to take my money, like that's going to show up in how you take care of your customers. It's going to show up in your inability to sleep at night. It's not a way to live.
Going back to that's what's on
Yeah,
your mind.
and it's very much.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're going to blind yourself to seeing the opportunities around you. This is my personal belief, because you're going to be so focused on how the world's crashing around. That's all you're going to see. You're going to call it to your attention. So one, I would think being fearful of it is not the right way to go. Now,
Agree.
in terms of, are we going to start seeing changes? We already are seeing changes in our industry. This industry is different than when I started. It's inevitable. Are agents still working and crushing it? 100%, they still are. Is where you're going with this that ultimately you're going to see the displacement of agents? I don't think so. I mean, I don't really buy into that. Do I think we're going to keep seeing disruptive companies coming in with new business models? Certainly.
I don't buy into the displacement of agents. One of the things I think is seems obvious to me, and we'll know if I'm right or wrong, right, is what Open Door's done, which is allowing someone to upload a photo of themselves and their driver's license numbers. There's MLSs that are doing this and that are giving buyers access to the lockbox to see the house on their own. So what I think is going to happen is the agents, the teams, the brokerages that have the inventory and the buyers are coming directly to them, I think you're going to see a lot more direct to the product as opposed to the buyers. I think that's the biggest disruption is this buyer agent bringing you on a tour and unlocking each door for you. Do you think I'm totally off?
If what I hear
where do you think that, because whether Open Door wins or not, I think that's a feature that will last.
Okay, so just to make sure we're on the same page, are we breaking down the idea of, hey, what are the different, if I were to itemize all the things an agent does that encompass their value, so to speak. If I were to break it down in one of those line items being showing property, that's what a buyer agent does. Are we talking
Correct.
about that?
We're talking, that's where I'm going, showing property.
Okay,
Yeah.
showing property. And I can think of a lot of agents who would be happy not to show property.
Of course. Now, luxury market, I don't think you're going to see disruption in showing property.
Yeah, it's going to be segmented.
Let's talk about the average price point across America, the majority of the homes being sold. Do you really think that the way we've always shown property is going to be the way we do it over the next 10 to 15?
In terms of agents unlocking the door versus
Correct.
buyers going on their own demand?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know what that looks like exactly. If I were to look at some of the larger macro trends in terms of consumer behavior, on demand, meaning I do what I want, when I want, how I want, is certainly a theme. It's a trend we'd see. So, yeah, I think we're going to have to find ways to... I'm fishing for words. Like, you can't say, sure, we'll go look at those properties. We're going to see 10 on Thursday. I think the buyer, when they want to go see, they're going to want to go see. Now, I think a lot of this is dependent upon the market. I mean, in a low inventory market, which right now, that's still characteristic of a lot of areas, especially in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you don't go look at it when the opportunity emerges, you run the risk of never getting to see it before it's under multiple offer. And so this kind of a market, I think, influences a lot of the disruption we're seeing, a lot of the fear we're seeing.
Well, a buyer can get super frustrated. It's like, they may not have a relationship with the agent, but they ping them on a Tuesday, and to your point, well, we'll get in there Thursday. Then it goes under contract. They've lost complete trust with that agent. But it's very difficult for a team or even a brokerage for that matter, and certainly a solo agent, to like offer this on-demand experience, right? Because like almost at this point you would have to just get more bodies, right? And then they're almost waiting like they're in the bullpen, literally like waiting for something to happen.
I can imagine showing. I mean, if we're going to talk about showings, I can imagine showings being disrupted. I don't know what that looks like per se, but I think there is a level of, we could, as an industry, and I'm just brainstorming in my own head right now what that would look like, we could certainly have a way, because especially in this kind of a market, if a buyer wants to go see it on a Tuesday afternoon, to some degree, that's warranted, especially if it's going to be under contract in an hour.
I agree. If they're qualified and all that kind of stuff, right?
Of course. So, and that's a whole other layer, right?
That's a whole nother, and that's ultimately why I think we both agree on this. Like, agents and human touch in this industry is not going away, because the layer on top of layer on top of layer of how difficult this process is, it's extreme. It's like no other industry. I know we like to believe that, but it's true.
No, it's the only product we actually live inside of.
I always say it's the realest product out there, baby. Real estate.
I mean, we live inside them. I mean, cars, you get inside of them, but it's it's just from a tangible standpoint, it's a different experience, right?
Exactly. You're using it A to B. Jason, one, I really appreciate your time and your insight. I always appreciate jamming with you. I'd as we're parting off here, I'd love for you to let people know where they can find you. We're going to link it up. Obviously, we're going to link Jason's stuff up. And then talk about where the next, I think there's 2 marketing edges left in the year.
2 more this year.
Okay.
There's several that are going to be secured next year that I can't talk about yet.
Okay.
But we're planning out next year.
I thought you were going to drop a big time bomb here on the pod. No,
no.
Can't do that.
No.
So where are the next 2?
We're going to be in Austin this September. And then I believe in November, Marketing Edge is going to be in the Charlotte area.
Okay, and we'll link up the events
Yeah,
link.
you can go to tomferry.com/events.
Is there space in both of them?
So
Austin's probably
I heard
up.
yesterday, I don't keep up with the numbers, but I heard yesterday Austin's close.
Okay.
And then once we're done with Summit, they'll probably make a push for it. So I would say, by the time you publish this, you're going to want to, I'll tell you this, we've done 3 this year already, and every one of them sold out, but not just a little, sold out, massively sold out. So a huge wait list.
Yeah, some of the people watching may have been to Sales Edge with Bill Pipes. Like,
right.
It's kind of a format similar, obviously, all marketing.
we're like twinsy events.
Twinsy. Yeah. Now, so it's you the whole time. Like, people are getting access to you for 2 days.
2 days.
2 days.
It's 2 full days. Starts on time, full days. There are some panels and things of that effect. I bring up some top producers, and we talk about what they're doing. The goal of Marketing Edge is, I don't want to be abstract or me just talking about marketing at a high level. I think it's important to understand how it works, what your goals are, but at the end of the day, you leave with a customized plan of action in terms of, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and that's my plan. So you have the ability at Marketing Edge, like we've had some of the, are we talking about big teams? We're talking about solo producers. Marketing Edge has the ability to fit to where you are at that moment in time, so you can build a plan that works for you.
Really appreciate it. Check the link if you want to go see Jason on Marketing Edge. I really appreciate your insight and like the way you think about the industry. You're obviously going to be around it for a long, long time.
I like our industry a whole lot.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful stuff. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Byron. Pleasure.
Awesome, brother.